Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Minted Podcast. I'm excited for this conversation because right now, there are not many people actually doing NFTs in the podcasting space. There's a lot of podcasters talking about it. There's a lot of podcasts about it. We'll talk about one of those today. But there's not many podcasters and content creators that are actually launching projects that are connected to their podcast community. And so that's why I'm looking forward to today. To have this conversation, I'm joined by Katie Brinkley from Denver, which is great because it's just an hour away, and Vince Warnock all the way from New Zealand, which is more than an hour away. So
just slightly, yeah.
Just slightly. Is it tomorrow there yet?
It's tomorrow. Yep.
Which is
4
wild.
a.m.
It's the big. It's like it feels. It's 10 a.m. here in Colorado. So Katie, like for us, it's like it's the beginning of the day, and you're already in tomorrow. So I feel like we just can't catch up. But anyway, Katie, you and I, we just literally like 2 days ago got off a flight together from Podcast Movement. How are you doing today in post-conference recovery?
I'm glad that you put it as recovery because all day yesterday, I felt like I was in a fog. It was a lot to come down to from being around other creators for 4 full days, just talking shop and getting excited about the world of podcasting. So, and like you said, we got to ride home on the flight together, and it didn't even stop then. We just kept on going with different podcast ideas and business ideas. So I'm really, really thankful that you asked me and Vince to join you on the Minted Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Vince, we missed you at Podcast Movement, but hopefully we'll get to
man, thanks. I feel like you guys are just, I feel like you're just rubbing it in because our borders have only just opened. We've been missing events all over the world, and I'm pining for it. I just need to get out and get into conferences.
Yeah. Well, next year in 2023, Podcast Movement is in our backyards in Colorado. So that will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, and kind of the intro of this, you guys are actually doing this with, you have a podcast and you have an NFT project, which is rare and amazing. I can honestly think of 5, maybe 10 people in the space that have active NFT projects that they're launching connected to a podcast. So first off, Vince, maybe give me some context tell me about the podcast that the two of you run. And then we can kind of transition that into the actual NFT project you guys have launched.
Yeah, sure. Well, the two are intrinsically linked, which is good. So one of the things we realized kind of moving into the NFT space was that there's this whole community of NFT aficionados, essentially NFT obsessed people like us that understand NFTs, that understand the terminology, the technology, all these kind of things. But we also realize that when you're relying, when you're launching a new project, you're launching an NFT project, and you're relying on that community, then you're kind of at the whim of, the price of cryptocurrency. You're at the whim of who's launching what at whatever time. So we knew that one of our strategies had to be to bring new people into this space. And both Katie and I are obsessed by NFTs, but also when we started looking into NFTs, we realized just how overwhelming it can feel. And we realized there's a whole new language that people use. There's a whole new, set of acronyms and everything that we have to learn. So we wanted to make that easy for people. So the two of us thought, right, okay, we're going to educate as many people as possible. So we launched the NFT Ninjas Podcast, and it very much is about teaching people, informing them, empowering them, and keeping them safe in the NFT space. So we do 5 episodes a week. We do Monday to Thursday is mini little shows where we teach on an aspect of NFTs, like what is a degen, what does FUD mean, all these kind of things, So we'll do individual episodes on those. But then we have the most amount of fun on every Friday, Friday in you guys' time, Saturday for me. Katie and I go live and bring the latest in marketplace updates and news, talk a bit about our project and things like that as well, and give away prizes. It's so much fun, man. Like the live show is probably my favorite part of the week, without a doubt.
That's great. Katie, anything to kind of add to the journey of starting NFT Ninjas Podcast?
Exactly with what Vince said. We wanted to make sure that we were educating people on the space of NFTs. I do think that a lot of the NFT strategies right now are kind of the spaghetti thrown at the wall method and seeing what sticks. But as more and more people come into this space, there is a huge, as Vince said, learning curve. I know that was one of the reasons why it took me so long to get into the space. And if it wasn't for, people like Vince and a couple people that were a couple steps ahead of me, just navigating me through like, okay, well, this is what it even stands for. This is how to set up your cold wallet, and just introducing me to this new way of thinking, that it really gave me that light bulb moment of there are so many new possibilities with NFTs. And the more people that we can educate, the more people are going to come into the space. And then Vince told me about one of the projects that he was working on. And I said, okay, I'm all on bringing more people into the NFT world, but especially if they can have a hand in the project that he co-founded. So,
yeah, tell me a little bit about that, Vince.
Okay, it's called the Christmas Ninjas, and basically the entire team are on a mission to change people's perspective in the world and to spread a lot of positivity. But where it came from is long before NFTs, man. Like 15 years ago, our youngest, our son was 4. Tried to tell him about Santa Claus, and he just looked at us with that look of, like, are you stupid? Like, he's just like, I'm never going to fall for this. So he just went, nah, that's a stretch. And I said, okay, we're going to have to tell him the truth. So me and my wife told him, look, Santa Claus isn't real. Sorry to anyone if that's news, but Santa Claus isn't real. It's just something that parents and Coca-Cola make up so that kids behave themselves. From that, he turned around and said the coolest thing out of a 4-year-old's mouth ever. He just said, look, Dad, if you're going to make up stories, make it interesting and put ninjas in them. And I just went, yes, that is awesome. But also it made me realize how uncomfortable I felt around this whole concept of, hey, behave yourself, which, let's get real, just means do what you're told and we will reward you. And we teach kids this around Christmas, with the nice list, with the elf on the shelf, but also we teach people this in corporate. If you do what your parents, your teachers, your leaders, your employers tell you, then you will be rewarded. And I thought, there's got to be so much more for my kids than that. I want them to aspire to more than just doing what people tell them to do. So we wrote the Christmas Ninja story, and it was a children's book. I never did the artwork for it because, honestly, if you saw my art, you'd know why. But wrote the story, and it was really where we combined all the Christmas traditions. You had little baby Jesus in the manger, wise men coming down, and the Christmas Ninja stealthily following them. And when she gets to the manger, her mission basically is to protect baby Jesus from an assassination attempt from Santa and his evil ninja elf clan. So massive battle ensues. Long story short, Santa and the elves get defeated, banished to the North Pole, and as penance, once a year, of course, they have to deliver presents to all the kids. And now the Christmas Ninja has completed her mission, so she embarks on her new journey, which is to roam the land looking for people that kind of characterize the best in humanity. And these are the traits of the Christmas Ninja. This is honor, respect, courage, compassion, and self-sacrifice. And when she finds these people, she deems them worthy, bestows upon them a gift, and they become a Christmas Ninja themselves. So that was the story we wrote, but it also was the launch of our family tradition. So every Christmas, we would pick a person each that we think demonstrates those behaviors. We would get them this little anonymous gift from the Christmas Ninja that says, you've been deemed worthy. And then on Christmas morning, we'd get up, we'd open one present each, and then we have to race out and deliver this gift without getting seen. And seriously, man, if you've ever seen kids trying to do this, they take it way too seriously. Like my daughter, commando crawling along the ground and under hedges, and I had to climb a 3-story building to put it on a balcony. We just have so much fun with this. So fast forward 15 years later, this has started to spread. Like as we mentioned, I'm in New Zealand. I would come across people who said they received a gift from the Christmas Ninja, and I'm looking at them going, I have no idea who you are. This is amazing, which means that people have actually picked this up and run with it. And then we discover people in the US, so far it's US, Canada, UK, and I think even South Africa, where they've been deemed worthy of the Christmas Ninja. So that got me thinking, right, what if we put the book out there, get an artist on board, put the book out there and try and use this to inspire people to want to be better. That was the kind of initial goal. So found this absolutely beautiful artist out of Australia. She's amazing. Sat down with her, and she has the same kind of passion to want to impact the world. So we thought, well, why stop at a book? Why don't we turn this into an NFT series where when you hold a Christmas Ninja NFT, multiple times a year, you're going to get this companion NFT called a Worthy Series. And that is for you to gift to someone to recognize and reward them for being amazing, for demonstrating those traits. And then we thought, right, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to gather a team. So we knew we couldn't do this on our own. So we got a fully doxed team, which just basically means that, it's people that you'll be able to look up online. You'll know their history, everything. I think I mentioned to Katie in passing, I just said, I've got this project. She goes, tell me about it. I got about half a sentence out and she goes, I'm in. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And she goes, no, listen to me. I'm in. And I'm like, okay, I'll back down.
I
You're in.
Katie, but okay, I guess now you're in.
Yeah, exactly. So we put together.
You got to be careful who you tell those stories to.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've got 7 of us in the core team. I'm the only male, and that is by design. Mainly because women in NFT space are very underrepresented. And we thought, well, we've got an opportunity to be part of the solution to that. So we put together this full team, and that's when it expanded, man. We just went, okay, instead of just giving you an NFT that gives you these companion ones to gift to people, let's have a look at the effect that that's had on me and my family. And over the last 15 years, one of the things I've noticed with my kids particularly is that their perception of other people has shifted. And that makes sense. When you understand neuroscience, you understand that, we have this giant filter system in the brain called the reticular activating system. It really is the thing that kind of, you're bombarded with all this input every minute of every day from every 5 cents that you've got. And this part of your brain's just trying to work out what of that information is important to me. What of that information should be, basically passed through into my brain so I can process it. But when you're constantly, consistently, and actively looking for the best in people, and you're actually looking for who's demonstrating these traits, your brain then goes, okay, well, that's obviously relevant information, so I'm going to show you it in everyone. And that was the kicker for me, is not just the people that you like or that are in your little sphere of influence or whatever, but you will start to see the goodness and the potential in everyone, even people you disagree with, even people you normally wouldn't like. You can't help it. You look at someone that really irritates you and you go, yeah, but I wonder what they're going through right now. And actually, you know what? They're a pretty decent human being. And it's like, oh, damn it, I just want to be annoyed with them. So we thought we're going to rewire people's brains with NFTs. And then we rolled out whole pile more utility and things like that as well. So it's been an exciting journey, man.
Yeah, that's exciting. And we'll get more into the utility. Katie, I'd love to know what stood out about this project, and even help me understand kind of the connection between the NFT Ninjas podcast and this NFT project, the Christmas Ninjas.
Yeah, so Vince and I really kind of started this NFT journey at the same time. So my day job is social media strategy, and I was ready to go ahead and write the note that Twitter was dead. But then, honestly, when Twitter fully embraced the NFT, the crypto side of Web3, it got a whole new life, in my opinion. I felt like it was kind of just for trolls and, breaking news. And
I don't even know if it was like an intentional embracing. It just kind of, it was like,
well, they're the very first
it's
ones
so weird.
They're allowing the PFPs, so that's your NFT as your profile picture, and you can actually click on it and see the token info and all that stuff. And they're the first ones to really do it. With social audio, Clubhouse was really the trailblazer with social audio. But when Twitter launched Twitter Spaces, all these spaces were coming out for people to talk about their NFT projects. And so I had started venturing back into the world of Twitter around the same time as Vince. And I saw that he was posting about different projects. I was posting about different projects and kind of just trying to learn the space. So he and I, we actually have both guested on each other's main podcast. So I have a podcast, Rocky Mountain Marketing. He has Chasing the Insights. We've both spoken on different events together. And so he already had that know, like, and trust factor with me. He was fully doxxed. And he and I started talking just NFTs, what projects are you looking at? Isn't this neat to see the different ways that people are using NFTs and the building the communities? And then he sent me the message and said, hey, do you have time for a call? And said, I'm getting ready to launch this project. And I wanted to get started in a project because I just see endless possibilities. But for me, the thing that stood out for the Christmas Ninjas was just the concept of doing good, the concept of treating others how you wanted to be treated. And that's it's the golden rule. And I feel like there's so many projects out there right now where it's, oh, okay, so let's see how many, high-end exclusive events you can get into. Let's see what, and it's just a lot of flashy things that you get with these NFTs sometimes. But this one had the underlying message of growing good throughout the world, not necessarily growing a business empire, which I thought made it truly unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what value does this NFT project give to your podcast and the podcast community? How do these two things help each other?
I think for me, one of the key things is showcasing what you can do as a creator. So on my show, I interview people in marketing, sales, basically entrepreneurs all over the world and creators. So a lot of this is actually showcasing the different potential that you can have as a creator. It becomes a conversation starter for just about every one of my guests when they're going, "Hey, I've seen you in the NFT space. What's going on?" And talking through the potential for them and what they create, I think is huge, and driving the right behaviors with your audience as well. So for me, the other aspect, I guess, of the Christmas Ninjas was it was about trying something different. And there's a number of NFT projects I want to bring to this world, a number of different things I want to play around with that all have different elements that could help creators or communities or things like that as well. But this one was one where we were really passionate about it because it was so tied to what I've seen over the last 15 years with that story and everything. And so to me, that was the kind of main link there. And then with the NFT Ninjas podcast, of course, that really came from Katie, because every single one of the founding members that we brought on board, there are 7 of us, every single one of them has brought a different aspect of how they want to impact the world. Like our technology person really wants to make sure people are safe in this space. She's all about cybersecurity and ensuring that we have the best experience for all of our users and they learn to be safe. Whereas Katie was very much around, hey, if we're going to do this, I want to make sure I'm bringing new people into this. I love educating people. I love teaching people. I love that kind of spark of learning in them. So that's where the NFT Ninjas podcast came from. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's great. And Katie, can you kind of give me like a breakdown? Like, let's start talking about the utility of it. Let's kind of start breaking down like what kind of value is this actually bringing to your audience? Because we all know there's so much conversation about what makes NFTs valuable? Why should people get into them? And I think we're just on the precipice of really exploring what utility can be held behind NFTs. So break it down for me.
Yeah, well, and I think that too, so just piggybacking really fast off of what Vince said before with the podcast. The podcast is as he said before, my kind of baby with educating and bringing more people into the space. So
right.
I think that a lot of people have this idea that it's going to be really complicated or that it's just a really expensive JPEG. And I want to showcase the community side and the way that so many business owners and entrepreneurs are thinking outside of the box with ways that they can make the internet translate into in real life. So for me, that was the biggest thing behind the NFT Ninjas podcast was educating and trying to, make a bridge between the Web 2 people and the Web 3 people so that you can go in and feel confident with when you enter into this whole new space. The utility for the Christmas Ninja project is something, well, it started with one big piece of utility, which I'll share. And then Vince, I'll let you talk about kind of the different roadmap utilities along the way. But it's the Christmas Ninja Christmas party. So every year we are going to have a huge Christmas party, live music with other collaborators that we have met in the NFT space. So one of them is Violetta. Vince and I both own one of her NFTs, and she's a musician. And she's released 5 of her songs as NFTs. And we've actually gotten to know her. She's actually been a guest on Vince's podcast, Chasing the Insights, just to share what it was like being a musician entrepreneur in this NFT space and the way that she utilized NFTs to grow. So she's going to come and play live for us. And it's really
Where?
Go ahead.
Big question. Where is the party going to be?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's all online to start with. We're going to do IRL stuff, like in real life stuff eventually, but initially it's going to be in the metaverse. We have bought some land, essentially some islands in the Isles of Meta, which if you haven't seen that, is just some of the most beautiful landscape in the metaverse. Like you've got grass that blows in the wind, you've got water that looks realistic. So we're going to be building a stadium out there for our concerts and everything. But until that's built out, we're probably going to do it on Zoom or something like that. But we want to break the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest online Christmas party. It's going to be epic.
Love it. Love it. Cool. What else, Katie?
Vince, go ahead and I'll let you navigate through the rest of the utility.
Yeah.
There's been a number of books that we are releasing to holders. I'll let you go, Vince.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we want to do is obviously the Christmas Ninja book is going to be part of the utility. So everyone's going to get a copy of that. That's fine. But Katie and I are also writing a book together on NFTs, which will be available free to every Christmas Ninja holder. And then we thought, right, okay, the Christmas party is great, right? The idea of getting people together to celebrate not just the Ninja holders, but anyone that they recognize and reward as well. So we actually get to celebrate the best in humanity together. I think that's pretty awesome. But then we thought we need to add more value. We need to keep going. So in other words, instead of just reprogramming people's brain, which is a core part of what's going to happen with these NFTs, we want to add some in real life benefits to them. And that's when we clicked that, part of my day job is literally, running the Chasing the Insights podcast, interviewing experts from all over the world on things like building resilience or dealing with imposter syndrome or dealing with stress and anxiety. And we're like, wait a minute, these are all the things that will enable you to be more compassionate, to be more courageous, to be more self-sacrificial. We're like, this makes sense. So we're going to launch the Ninja Academy, which is where we bring in all of these experts and tested it with my guests, by the way, and said, hey, we've got this idea that we want to, give this value to all of our NFT holders. And you don't even finish the sentence. They're like, I'm in, because they're all curious about this space. Mm-hmm. So every Ninja holder is going to get access to masterclasses from some of the best people in the world and certainly some of the brightest minds in the world. But then we also want to launch our social initiative, which is called the Lone Ninja Project. And that's where we give back at Christmas time to kids that are stuck in like orphanages and hospices and hospitals, right, and just try and, as a community, come together and actually make their life a little bit brighter. So be able to use some of the funds that we generate through the Christmas Ninja Project to invest in these children, but also to get in real life groups together of Ninja holders to actually turn up in hospitals. Something that I do over here. I'm a giant nerd. I feel embarrassed actually admitting this now. I just realized, but I'm a giant nerd here. And we went through a period where our daughter, who's our oldest, was in hospital for some time when she was about 15. And our children's hospital here is just absolutely amazing. So I give back by actually dressing up in Star Wars costumes or as superheroes and turning up with a bunch of friends and going and making the kids' lives a little bit more enjoyable. We turn up at the hospital and cheer them up and take photos with them and all this kind of stuff. So that's the kind of in real life things that we want to get together with our community, which is the key thing, bringing them all together for this. And then great. We have all these expanded storylines that we're going to be launching as well. We've got a whole, in fact, this is the beautiful thing about bringing together an amazingly talented team, because, when I wrote the Christmas Ninja story, that was this contained story. But, when we brought the artist on board, she was like, oh my goodness, the animals in the manger. Like, she's just one of the most gentle-hearted people I think you've ever met in your life. In fact, by the way, side note here, she couldn't do artwork for about 3 days one time because she got a bee sting on her finger. I'm like, how'd you get a bee sting on your finger? And it was because she saw a bee being attacked by ants and was like moving the ants off to stop it so she could save the bee, and the bee stung her. Most adorable thing ever. But she helped write out the Christmas chicken story, which is where, chicken was in the manger, absolutely terrified at all the violence that was happening around them, but saw all the other animals afraid. So stepped up anyway, even though they were scared. They stood alongside the Christmas Ninja and helped defend baby Jesus. So now they are on a mission to roam the land looking for animals that are worthy, the dogs that pull people out of, lakes and things, or the cats that set off the fire alarms. And then we've got Eric the elf, who is, thought he was on the side of good, and it turns out he wasn't. So now he's become a pacifist and helps people with conflict resolution. And all of it comes together next year for a massive epic storyline. But within all of that, we have some other things that we want to launch as part of this. And one of them is the International Worthy Awards. And this is really important to me because it's a chance to shine the spotlight on people that normally don't get seen. So these are your mums and dads who tirelessly give up their energy, their time, their money to help the homeless or to help the poor or to help people that are drug addicts and things. Or it's the people that put their lives on the line for you and I consistently to keep us safe and to keep us alive. Now, normally we don't see these people. They do this so self-sacrificially. We want them to be seen. We want to hold them up, shine that spotlight on them and say, you know what? This is actually what makes humanity great. And this is what we should aspire to be like. So it's really important to us to kind of launch that award ceremony where people can get recognized for making the world a better place.
I love that. I love that there's a lot in there. It sounds like you guys have a lot of plans, and that gets me thinking, like, this all can't be executed in the next 6 months. This isn't like a short-term thing. I've seen so many people wanting to get into the NFT space because they really want to make money. Less of those people in the last 5 months with the direction that crypto markets have gone, which I actually think is kind of a good thing, because the people that are still passionate and still moving forward, they're moving forward for the right reasons. But it really gets us to this thing that we talk about often on the Minted podcast, which is that NFTs are a great way to build community, and money follows community. Like monetization opportunities, sustainability follows community. So can you guys speak to this aspect of wanting to use the podcast and the listeners of the podcast, and also wanting to use the NFTs to like kind of galvanize, kind of solidify and build this community around it? Like, help me understand the community side of this, because you can't accomplish all that in the next 3 years. And so help me understand the vision behind your community.
Well, and I think that I'll jump in first, and then Vince, I'll let you elaborate. But for us, the podcast is the way that we are giving a face to the project. So people can watch it on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever. So they can watch the episodes, they can hear us every day. And that's the way that we're trying to show up on a regular basis to give the project a face. I definitely feel like having a project that you can see who the founder is on a regular basis makes it just like any other business model, where when you see someone on a regular basis, you get to know, like, and trust them. And it feels like you're doing business with a friend. You want to support that person. You want to show up to their events. And our Discord is a pretty happening place. There's a ton of game nights in there. The mods in our Discord are phenomenal, consistently showing up and driving conversation, asking people how they're doing, checking in on mindset, sports, everything, film fanatics. So our Discord is a pretty happening place. So that's a great way to continue building the community. But Seth, I'm so glad that you went this direction with the question, but that community is my favorite part of NFTs. It's why I still have yet to sell any of the NFTs that I have purchased over the past 9 months. It's because I bought into that community. There's certain aspects of it, from whether it's a diamond dog with, my sports background and being able to talk baseball and getting, game used autographs, and the friends I've made there, to the 90s babes NFT, where obviously it's a bunch of women that grew up, or people that identify as women that grew up during the 90s. And, our little avatars have, Tamagotchis and stuff, and Furbies and stuff in them. So all these different NFT projects, community is one of the most important parts, I feel. And if you're in it for the money, I mean, there is money to be had there. Let's not kid ourselves. But if you can really tell which ones are there for the long run, which ones are there to actually have a community and have a full-fledged business. We talk about utility all the time. Really, utility is just another term for business plan. What's the business plan? Like, why should we invest in your business? And it's because you have all of these different aspects. So I mean, that's my favorite part of NFTs is the community side. And I think that what we're doing with the Christmas Ninjas, from the podcast to our awesome Discord, is doing things the right way to show that we are in it for the long haul. It's not just something that's supposed to launch and sell out and then, we'll peace out, like a couple other projects I've purchased and bought into.
Same.
I think anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you've made the connection right there, Seth, too, because you're right. A lot of projects have come in there because they've seen this as a cash grab, or they've gone, hey, I can build something and sell out and become the next Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever. But the reality is, the people that are in it to stay, the way to tell is because they're building a community. Like if you're building a community of people, then you're definitely in this for the long haul. You're not just in it because you want to make a quick buck or whatever. And let's get realistic too. The elephant in the room is any NFT project needs to make money, right? If you want to actually execute on your roadmap, you want to execute on your utility, then you need to be making money from that. But if that's your primary focus, then you're going to have some problems, especially at the moment with the way crypto is going. Though for me, the community is actually a really cool part of this, because you talked about the fact that we can't do this in the next 6 months or whatever. But also we can't do this unless we've got an activated community. So for me, the thing that makes this project powerful is that people aren't just buying in thinking this is some kind of investment, but people are actually buying into this and buying into the story of this and buying into the personal development aspect and actually trying to shift the world and trying to change the way that people perceive each other. So that's really important to me. I kind of see this as when we get to, oh man, I so wish I could tell you about the Age of the Dragon storyline that we're doing, but I will get killed by all my co-founders. But with we're working towards
come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Definitely. But the idea behind that too is we're going to have this gamification aspect of what we're doing. But I kind of see this as in real life connections as well. I can see the community getting together on our, Isles of Meta Islands and one of the dojos there going, okay, how are we going to bless these people? Or how are we going to change this thing over here? Or, we've discovered that this mum had her house burnt down. She didn't have insurance. She's got 3 kids. She's homeless now. What are we going to do as a community? How can we get together and activate other people in our sphere to try and help these people? This is the kind of thing I want to see our community doing, is just creating a space where people are genuinely inspired to do better and genuinely inspired to try and impact the world. So that's been really important for me. The other thing too is, as Katie said, our mods, our community is really important to us. We only hire our mods from within the community. And trust me, if you've got a Discord server and you're in an NFT project, you get hundreds of people pitching to be mods in there. And, I only charge, $10,000 a month or whatever. But you've got all these people that are active in your community, that are encouraging people, that are responding to people, that are genuinely, participating in all the games, having fun, sparking conversations. So we approach them, tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, look, would you like to come on board the team? Would you like to be a moderator in here? So that's been really encouraging. And these are just the nicest people, like genuinely, it's been amazing.
Love it. So where's the project at now? Can people buy it? How can they buy it? What does it cost? Give me those details of like how people can actually engage with it now and where.
Yeah, so we're in pre-launch phase. So as in we're launching the main collection in September. But at the moment, one of the bits of feedback we had from people was, we don't want to wait. Like, they're really impatient. They love the story. They had some sneak peeks of the artwork and went absolutely nuts, because if you've seen the artwork, it's beautiful. It's like anime style ninjas, and she's just really absolutely gorgeous and badass. Yeah. So we thought, right, we're gonna launch a Genesis collection, which is where it's basically going to give you a huge amount of utility. So it's going to give you 2 free mints in our main collection, free mints in all of our future collections as well. Gives you early access to everything. It basically makes you part of a really like exclusive VIP kind of club. But we only put 250 of those out there. And then we thought, right, we're going to put the price quite high on those because it's, huge value, right when crypto was plummeting. So right when the price of everything was going down. And we literally had other founders out there of things going, man, I want in on your project so badly, but if I buy another NFT at that price, my wife's going to kill me. So you're like, oh man. So we're out there minting that at the moment. And that's, slowly selling. But then we thought, there's a whole pile of people that this is not accessible to. And there's a whole pile of people that really want to be part of the Ninja family. So we've put out a concept called the Golden Ticket, and it's their access to the Christmas Ninja universe. So when you hold these golden tickets, it's going to unlock future traits on your NFTs. It's going to unlock upgrades. It's going to give you early access, even allow-less access to our minting when it goes out, and for all of our future minting as well. But also we thought it's going to make it more value to people when they hold this. So every 100 of these mints that we do, we're going to pick 10 winners from those 100 mints. and we're going to give them a prize. We've got 5 Genesis Ninjas and 5 free mints to give away for every 100 of these. So it's a 1 ETH prize for every 100. And they're only 0.01 ETH. So that people can mint that at the moment as we get ready for our main collection.
Awesome. Well, and that's great. And is this like what blockchain is this on? Where do people buy it? Give me kind of the details of like blockchain and crypto and accessibility there.
Well, and I think that one of the things too, I do just want to chime in on really fast too, was that we've been trying to do everything, slow and steady and doing our research before we actually launch it. And we've felt really good on all the moves that we've made. But then exactly as what Vince just said about, okay, all right, let's go ahead. Let's do a Genesis because we have all these people that are reaching out to do it. And then, the market, it tanked. I mean, I don't know how else to say it nicely, but, and so it was one of those things where, okay, this wasn't the right time. And we also originally launched the project on the Polygon network, and we then have now switched it over the Ethereum. And so, I mean, like we've been trying to listen to our biggest fans as we've launched the project, even though we've been trying to do all of our research and, okay, well, it makes more sense for us to do it on this network because gas fees are 99.9% lower, or whatever. And so it's been a great learning experience. And it's been really good too, to see how others in the NFT and the Web3 space are willing to just give you their candid opinion on like, well, hey, this is what's holding me back. And I still want to do it, but these are my kind of hold ups on it.
Yeah. And I want to ask you about that because there's, I feel like there's just different ideologies, it seems in the NFT space. And as there's more opportunities for content creators, I feel like there's just different buckets that content creators are going to land in. I got to talk with Mark Cuban last week at Podcast Movement about the work that they're doing at Fireside with the NFT projects they're getting ready to launch. And that's going to be very under the hood. That's going to be very, not disguised, if you will, but like it's very focused on getting new people into the NFT market in the NFT space. Uncut.fm, they're doing amazing work for podcasters where, they're built on Polygon. People aren't having to pay gas fees. They don't have to create their own wallet. All of it's kind of happening behind the scenes. You guys have got a more traditional approach with, having to connect, your crypto wallets, having to, make sure you have the right kind of crypto in the right kind of places, paying gas fees. It's more complicated. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. It's just a different approach. What made you want to go that approach as opposed to trying to leverage some of the newer technology that's kind of keeping some of that complicated stuff under the hood?
I think the main thing
was...
I'll
let his go, but we didn't. We didn't want to go.
Yeah. We were honestly on the fence about what network even to be on right up until close to when we were launching the Genesis collection. And the main thing I was looking at there is like, okay, the Ethereum has a barrier to entry, which is the fact that obviously the gas fees. And right when we were about to make the decision, by the way, so we were on the fence between Solana, Polygon, and Ethereum. Right when we were about to make the decision, the Solana network crashed and was out for quite a bit of time as well. So we're like, wow, obviously that's out for us. If that could happen, that's a terrible experience for our users. And then at the same time, the Bored Ape Yacht Club came out with the other side deeds. And Katie's there trying to buy a...
Can I tell the story?
You tell the story, Katie. Yeah.
Okay, it's a quick one. But I was going to mint an NFT because they decided that they were going to drop the price substantially for just 48 hours. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and buy 3 because I can get 3 for the price of 1.
And this is of the other deeds, their metaverse launch?
No.
So no, I was going to mint another Meta athlete, but when during that 48-hour span was when the other side launch happened, and so I was going to be paying 0.03 to mint one of these Meta athletes, but the gas fees because of the land sale. For Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Because of something somebody else is doing, like literally in another
somebody
universe.
else was doing. I still have a screenshot of it, and every now and then I'll send it to Vince, just like, let us never forget. But they were going to charge me, I think it was $13,000 in gas fees, right? Vince, wasn't it like $13,000? Yep. So I was like, I could mint this meta athlete for like $70. And then pay 13 grand in gas fees.
Yeah. So for us, that was a no-brainer. Yeah. Because we looked at that and we thought that's a terrible experience for people. And then we were looking at Polygon going, okay, well, this is obviously low gas fees. It still has the same security level as the Ethereum network, so that's a plus for us. And at the same time, you had Tom Brady come out saying, hey, I'm going to build all of my network on the Polygon network. And we're like, okay, that's a no-brainer. So we moved to Polygon. But then one of the key things for us is watching what happens with our community and watching the experience they had. And I was literally middle of the night on calls with two of our community that had gone, right, I've set up my MetaMask wallet. I've gone to buy these things. So I had to go and get some Polygon. So I changed my Ethereum to Polygon and it's vanished. And they're like, man, this is a few $100s, US worth of Polygon that's just now disappeared. So I'm on there going, okay, well, one of them I found out they hadn't bridged it. So I was trying to teach them what bridging meant. And we restored it. And they were so happy they minted straight away, which is great. Good experience. But the other one had done the opposite where they had bridged it and they hadn't actually put it into the right wallet. So it was sitting in the middle of nowhere. So we just had to access that and get it there. But then we realized, man, this is scary for people that come in. It's not as user-friendly as just being on Ethereum, So at the time, after we launched the Genesis collection, we had a look at what was happening with that. We had a look at the market conditions, but we had a look at the experience and the feedback from our users. And it was a no-brainer for us to move to Ethereum, especially as at the same time you had really good contracts being written, smart contracts that have really efficient gas fees. Yeah. Now, right. I did a transaction last night. I bought another NFT because, I'm totally obsessed. I bought another NFT last night and paid $2 in gas fees. I was so happy with that versus the 13,000. And then you've got a new contract type coming out called the 721i, which is even more efficient. So, yeah. So for us, the move to Ethereum was really based around the user experience and also the fact that most of the other founders that are in our sphere, and this has been the beautiful part about being in NFTs, is meeting all these other projects that really do want to impact the world. And most of them are in the Ethereum space. So for them, that's where they invest, and we wanted them to be part of our community as well. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And, with there's going to be a lot of updates in the next hopefully in the next month or two with Ethereum kind of finally making the updates they've been saying they were going to make for the last couple of years. And so I think it's going to be a good couple months for Ethereum. As we kind of bring this to a close, I'd love to go back to how does this work for content creators? Katie, you and I were just talking with podcasters for 5 days straight last week at Podcast Movement. Vince, I know you have a couple of different podcasts that you're a part of. Maybe Vince, why don't you lead this off? But what do you envision for the next few years for content creators and NFTs? How can those two worlds really come together to add value for content creators?
Oh my goodness, this question alone is like 5-hour answer. There's so many different opportunities. Look, for me in the podcasting space, I look at this for the Chasing the Insights podcast. One of the things I want to do is be able to drive the right behavior with my audience, or the preferred behavior. So, with the podcast, people come in, they listen to your episodes when they've got time, and that I really want them to go in and listen to an episode within 48 hours of it launching. So for me, I'm going to be launching my own NFT series just based around Chasing the Insights, where they come in. It's like a proof of listen. They come in, they listen to an episode, they'll get code word at the end of it. If they've plugged that into a website, they get a free NFT, and stacking these NFTs enables rewards. So it's a way for me to go, okay, there's a bunch of people that are in my community. There's a bunch of people who listen to my episodes religiously, and on time. I want to be able to reward them for that behavior and bring other people into that as well and get them excited about it. So there's that opportunity for me of driving that. There's, proof of attendance if you're running summits and things. But the other thing for me is it's a different way of thinking for creators. And a good example is one that Katie brought up, Violetta Zeroni. Now, Violetta is an Italian-born singer based in Berlin. I would never have found her music if it wasn't for the NFT space. I was on Twitter Spaces, and she'd pop in there and go, "Hey, everyone all right if I sing a song?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm going, "Wow, this is going to be cringeworthy." Then she starts singing, and I'm like, "Holy crap, this is amazing!" Like, her voice is just beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I became a giant fanboy, which is really awkward when you're interviewing her for your podcast, by the way. So I became a fan of her music. But for her, it was a way of taking something that she creates. Like, for her, it's music. For other artists, it's their artwork. For us as podcasters, it's our episodes. Taking this and creating a community around it. So she launched her NFT series. There are 2,500 of them all up. As we said, me and Katie bought into it. She made more money off that collection than 150 million downloads on Spotify. But more than that, and this is the thing that where I was heading with this, is she turned up at NFT NYC and did a concert there for anyone who holds one of her NFTs. And they filled this bar there, and she got up there and she started to sing. And then she stopped. She just kept playing the music, and she had tears streaming down her face because the audience were there singing every single word. Mm. They knew all the lyrics. They were super fans. And for us, that's the biggest opportunity as creators, is you have a core audience out there that love everything that you do. You have a core audience, and the best way to serve them is to bring them into your community so that when you succeed, they succeed. So having NFTs tied to that means that as you grow, the people that were with you early on, the value of those NFTs is going to grow as well. And plus, as a creator, you get secondary sales. I mean, think about that. You get royalties every time someone sells one of your NFTs. So there's so much potential, man, honestly.
Yeah. There's a lot in there that I want to dive into. We'll have to save that for future episodes because I'm so excited about what the next 2 to 3 years look like for content creators. Yeah. And for so many of us, our audiences, they've been numbers. It's been, okay, cool. You got 1,000 downloads on this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Those are all individual numbers. I think that now we are going to realize you can now know their name. You can know who they are. You can communicate with them. You can invite them to a party. You can, they're not just a number anymore. They're actually a person. Katie, I'd love to hear your perspective on kind of how you see this unfolding over the next few years with content creators and how they can be using NFTs.
I see it as the community building, and I can see it really benefiting memberships. So whether you're in a lot of the things, like right now, it's the best example, I think, is like a Facebook group. You have to, if you go into Amy Porterfield's, online marketing, lowest tier, you get access to her Facebook group. And I can see it with NFTs. So, and the thing that I love about it, like Vince touched on, was, okay, let's say I've learned everything I need to learn from this membership, but I feel like I could learn more at the next tier up. So I could then buy the next level NFT, or I could be like, hey, you know what? My business model's changed. I really don't need to learn how to do email marketing anymore, whatever. So I don't need this NFT. And instead of just being like, all right, I'm done with it, and once my membership subscription is over, I just get kicked out of the Facebook group. Now you can actually sell your NFT on the secondary market. And, so a good example, the Never Ending Ticket from Joe Pelusi. He has the CEX conference, a little bit different as far as memberships, but it's an event, and I bought a ticket to it, and it never ends. So I basically bought lifetime access to an event. And let's say next year, in 2 years, I'm like, you know what? I really, the creator model, like, that's not a part of my business plan anymore. But Seth has always expressed an interest in it. I'm going to go ahead and sell it to Seth. And I could sell it to you for what I paid for it. I could sell it to you for, 10x. And I get my money back on it. Joe, who's the creator of the NFT, gets a percentage of it. You have now access to this. I just feel like it's a way of doing business that's a little bit more sustainable. And with memberships, events, I think it's really, that's the biggest way I see it impacting us as creators, is in that sort of setting, because those are so community driven. And if you own this NET, Never Ending Ticket NFT, I have my own little Discord and I can get to know some of the other main players in there, know who I can see. I have my own little crew that I can hang out with if I want to at the event. I can talk about, hey, does anyone need to share an Uber from the airport? And it's really just driving community in a way that we've never really seen possible before.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love it. And I love how many use cases are coming out, but also 12 months from now, I know there's going to be use cases that we don't even know about now that podcasters and content creators are beginning to utilize. And I totally agree with you, Katie. I think anytime we're wearing an access badge around our neck or on our, on our wrist, I think that's probably going to be NFTs coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vince, anything you want to add to that before we kind of close?
Oh, no, man. I just, the potential for so many different aspects of not just creator as well, but not-for-profits. I'm really passionate about social good, working with a lot of larger not-for-profits at the moment to help them bring this to life. But the potential is incredible. But it really is tied to that 1,000 true fan theory. It really is tied to building community around everything that you create. And yeah, I think that's genuinely exciting for creators. They've got a chance to kind of reimagine their whole world at the moment, essentially.
Yeah, I love it. I think the 1,000 true fan concept has resonated with creators for so long.
Yeah.
I feel like NFT technology makes it more possible. It makes it more accessible. And those are some of the stories we're excited to share here on the Minted Podcast. Last but certainly not least, how can people plug into your project? Where can they go? We will have links to all of this in the show notes. But Katie, tell us how they can get connected with your podcast and with the NFT project itself.
Well, you can download and subscribe to the NFT Ninjas podcast on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. We're on Spotify, Apple, all the players. Episodes come out 5 days a week, but be sure to join us for our live show on Fridays, because those are when we talk about the latest market trends and what's happening in the NFT space. A lot of use cases that are happening in the news. So be sure to do that. And we're on all the social medias with that. So connect with us on Instagram, Twitter, we have a Facebook group. And of course, there's our Discord too.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Katie, Vince, thank you so much for joining me on the Minted Podcast. I'm really excited to see where the Christmas Ninjas goes and just to watch these stories continue to unfold over the next couple of years. I love your vision. And I'm excited to have you back on the show months down the road to see how's it going, what are you learning, what's working, what's not working. So we'll have to have you back
absolutely
a few months down the road.
I mean, cheekily, that's just a chance for us all to hang out again, which we love. But yeah, let's do it.
Yep, there we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for joining us here on the Minted Podcast.
Thanks again for having us.